Howdy, everybody, and welcome to the campaign wrap-up of the Debauchery Circus campaign here on the Random Rhapsody Network. I'm Matthew R. Dawson, your friendly neighborhood host and GM, and joining me around my virtual table today are Brandie, Brie, Jr., and Steven. Say hi, everyone.
Howdy. Hi.
Now, before we begin, we do have a few announcements to get through, starting with the first of our two sponsors for today's show, Hero Forge. Hero Forge offers fully customizable tabletop minis with dozens of fantasy species and thousands of parts to choose from. Their easy-to-use design tool lets you build your perfect miniature online using a fully 3D in-depth character creator right in your web browser. You can build yours today at heroforge.com. Our second sponsor for tonight's show is XSplit. XSplit is a high-quality virtual webcam background remover that works with your already existing webcam. Using this program, you can protect your privacy online while you work or play remotely by blurring, removing the background entirely, or even putting your favorite picture as the image instead. You can download the app today at xsplit.com, and if you use the coupon code RANDOM with a capital R, you can get 10% off of your purchase. You can find our referral link in the chat and show description. Last but not least, this Wednesday we will be playing the next session of our Curse of Strahd campaign, Sonnet of Blood, which will be at 6 p.m. Central here on YouTube. Now you can keep up to date on our schedule and everything we're doing by following us on Facebook as Random Rhapsody TV and on Twitter as @random_rhapsody. And that's going to do it for the announcements. So join us as we dive into the world of Loroupa and continue on with the adventures of the Debauchery Circus. And we're back. So when we last left off, the Debauchery Circus had defeated the Gold Dragon, known as Jadar Brightscale, who was Corrin's former master back in the Institute Arcanum. They had then taken control of the revitalizing of the Dreaming Tree in an attempt to thwart the prophetic vision Corrin had often dreamed of, involving the destruction of Loroupa. Using the crystals embedded in their person, the squad was able to control the chaos unleashed by the sprouting tree, which allowed the team to leave their home of Coltrast relatively unscathed during the catastrophe that quite literally changed the very face of the world they lived in. And so, Debauchery Circus, once the tree had fully grown, a large set of double doors appeared in the wall, opening a portal to the Dream Realm and the Dreamer himself. You all boldly leapt into the Dream Realm to face the Dreamer on his home turf, facing this progenitor of the Beholder species as he seemed to flee from some unknown source. You face down this ultimate beholder and barely manage to survive. And in fact, your good friend, Tomas Rothen, ended up paying the ultimate price before the end of that encounter. But in the end, Corrin ripped apart the very fabric of reality itself to defeat the Dreamer once and for all, drawing the creature into a void of Corrin's making and destroying him. The fabric of reality is shattering all about you now, and you can feel yourselves being sucked into the darkness of oblivion after the monster you defeated. But before that happens, a question comes to each of your minds. And that question is, what would most people think when they first see you? And Blaznir, since you're the one who rolled, why don't you go first?
Okay. Yeah, I think people would see me and say, "Oh, no, it's a bard."
Yeah, that's fair. And you do have that
People
flashy
like bards.
I mean, some people do.
Some people do.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, not everyone likes artists.
Yeah.
That's fair. Elegy, why don't you go next?
Probably. Holy crap, that's a big turtle. And definitely got to remember her name because it's for sure not going to ever change.
Yeah, I suppose that's fair. Corrin, how about you?
What the hell is a lone elf doing out of Illamithika?
True.
Okay. Yeah, that's valid. Ichabod, what about you?
Well, I was also gonna say, oh no, but because I feel like he's armed to the teeth. He always has a furrowed brow. He looks like a kind of authority figure. So probably the same way you would feel if like a corrupt
showed
cop
up.
walked in. Yeah.
You know what he doesn't always have?
Hmm.
His horse, Salvatore.
That's true.
That's
but yeah,
fair.
they probably just think like, oh no, something's going on. I should probably get out of here.
Okay. Well, with that in mind, Debauchery Circus. The darkness of the void is short-lived, climaxing quite unfulfillingly by ejecting you all out of the trunk of a tree thousands of feet high, with branches impossibly wide. You all find yourselves falling, quite literally, in free space, going plummeting downward towards what you can see there below is just a mass of tangle of gigantic roots interweaving all around the base of this massive tree that is thousands upon thousands of feet tall, with green foliage of branches spread everywhere about. Elegy, you immediately reach out for the edge of the trunk, trying to grasp onto it to use that slow fall ability. And at the same time, Blaznir, what are you doing?
I'm gonna cast Featherfall for Fawn.
Yeah, absolutely. You're able to grab hold of your companions. It can affect up to 5 fallen creatures within range, and the spell takes hold. You all slow and just begin this gentle sort of descent downward towards the root system. Now, the perspective you have is a strange and complicated one. As you are falling downward, you can see that the roots below just spread underneath the great tree in a mass of tangles. You can see that from your position, you can see that the landscape before you all is great, and it's changed in innumerable ways. You can see that there is a large crack going right from the center of the tree, going forward and back, a wide chasm that you can just see goes forever below the tree itself. You can see the roots are winding about and literally grasping onto the sides of these different parts of the world, holding them together. it's an odd but you can also see that the way the roots are upholding the land masses together, it keeps a vaguely spherical shape, but more of like a puzzle of continents and seas separated by gaps of space, which seem to be filled with swirling torrents and of water that's arcing like large ribbons around each area of these separate land masses. You can also kind of see down in the center of the world the moon Ixnay, the blue orb that once orbited the planet, is now in the center of the world itself. You can see water flying up from them, creating these almost rivers in space, connecting the various land masses together.
The cosmic horror.
The planet Loroupa is changed quite a bit now that the tree has revived, but life still seems to be able to go on. And as you all slowly descend downward and finally land on those roots, you can see the world about you changed, but very much alive. You've been able to save Loroupa from at least instant vaporization. Now, your choices have changed the landscape quite a bit, but you do know that your own home of Coltrast was saved from the massive destruction.
Good.
And so, Debauchery Circus, with the dreamer now dead and the dreaming tree a very real part of the planet, what would you like to do?
Well, did we get Tomas's ashes?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I
were
would've
able to.
collected
Okay.
Yeah, you were able to grab the ashes before
Okay.
you left.
I would have gone to have him reincarnated, and since we rolled last time, he comes back as a human.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think Blaznir has reincarnated, so if we spend
Yeah.
a day on our travels, we're traveling back to Coltrast, the next day we could do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So with the world at least alive and whole, do you head to Coltrast first? Do you return to the Conclave to check in and see what's going on? What's the first move you all make now that you have survived and defeated this ultimate evil?
So I think it'd be kind of a combination of the two. We'd send a message to Coltrast, but then we'd go to the Enclave first to report.
Okay.
Ichabod would want to go home. I think he'd want to go straight home.
I mean, I've got teleport, so...
Yeah, I'm like, Tomas can go back to the Conclave, anybody else can go back to the Conclave, but Ichabod's gonna go home.
I have transport via plants now, so,
Blaznir, you wanna go home?
That's true, why not? I don't really care for the Conclave stuff, honestly.
I'm sure they're all
Tired.
very important, but considering that a gigantic cataclysm has just been unleashed upon the world, I think I'd like to hug my loved ones.
Yeah. Alright, that's a plan.
Okay. Well, since Blaznir is able to open a path through plants, the Dreaming Tree is right there, and more than willing to allow you to use it for teleportation. So you cast your spell, Blaznir. The bark opens just a little bit. Well, just a little bit for the perspective of a gigantic tree, but for you, it very wide, 7-foot tall portal opens up in the middle of the tree, and on the other side, you see one of the large trees that are planted just outside of Coltrast Keep.
Ooh, could it be a tree in the park that Blaznir
Absolutely.
made?
Yeah.
I have a park there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would be really
absolutely.
cute.
It opens up into the park, and you all step through to see Blaznir's park with that big O fountain that Corrin had commissioned, with a statue of Blaznir, I think.
Yeah.
Um,
Is Corrin and Tomas coming back with us, or did they still want to go to the
I mean,
conclave?
I guess I could send them a message if need be. I'm just trying to make sure, because, like, people at the conclave are probably freaking the hell out right now.
Yeah, I feel like we can split up if we wanted to, you know?
Sure.
Yeah,
Tomas and I can go tell them everything.
Alright, Ichabod gives Corrin a big kiss goodbye. He's like, come home as soon as you're done.
well, I know that the ritual itself to resurrect Tomas does take about like 24 hours or so to do, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So
let's find out.
It's 1 action. Or no, 1 hour. Sorry.
Yeah, so we would have done
Okay.
it while we were traveling.
well, I mean, if you teleported via plants straight from the tree to Coltrast,
Oh, wait, yeah.
So
never
we
mind.
just spent a night after the fight.
yeah,
There.
that's what I'm asking. Are you just
And then-
spending a night
yeah.
at Coltrast,
Yeah.
or are you bouncing around? Because that just depends on how I narrate.
Well, I would have to spend a night before I teleported anyone.
Yeah, so we spend the night at the base of the dreaming tree
Gotcha. Okay.
with our camping gear. And then the next
Reincarnating.
Yeah, and then we
Tomas.
reincarnate and then we leave. We're like, welcome back to life, Tomas. Does he come back with his tattoo?
He does not. He loses the
Oh,
tattoo when he from everything, and when you cast the spell to reincarnate him, he does appear as still looking vaguely like himself. The features are similar in the face, but he's a human. And that's just weird for him.
Mm-hmm.
You all spend that night there camping on the roots of the tree, just looking out at the strangeness of the world. And Tomas's, man, this is just really bizarre. How the hell did you get used to this, Corrin?
I'm basically going to be acting not like directly touching him like a physical therapist would, but guiding him through the process of someone who has gone from small to bigger.
Yeah, he does kind of need that, and the two of you spend a lot of time talking, not only about just dealing with the fact that you're in a new body, but at the strange world that you now have sitting in front of you. Go ahead, give me an Arcana check at advantage, because the two of you are sitting there discussing things together.
Sure. No, that and that. 29.
29. Okay.
Just shy of 30.
Well, as you're sitting there talking and discussing, there is some interesting conversations that the two of you have. You note the fact that since things have basically broken apart, the world itself broke apart and is currently being held together by the tree. Tomas points out that chances are, while right now things like teleportation circles and stuff like that are going to be maintained for a little bit, within a week or more, the just natural spread of the world is going to shift ley lines and things like that. And chances are all of the teleportation circles that exist won't be working after about a week or so. Now, new ones can be made, of course, and stuff
that takes
like
a year.
It does take about a year, and so because of everything that's happened, after about a week or so, those fields are going to be gone, and it's going to make travel a lot more complicated. Now, you all note that the sea's currents are moving from broken piece to broken piece, but there are gaps in there as well. So while movement as far as boats going from continent to continent are possible, it's going to be hazardous.
Mm.
You are also able to note that while once there was a giant supercontinent on Loroupa, that's changed as well. Chances are land masses are going to look very, very different. Who knows what the hell the different continents look like, but you know for sure that the Margarden Federation has been split in half, as has the Dowrin Empire. You saw that El Mythica has been broken open and is now connected to Gulfrin, which is on its own separate continent. You all saw during your visions and things like that. You also saw that your home country of Radagast was split down the middle as well. While Coltras itself is whole, the capital, North Amia, is now on a completely separate continent.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, so there's going to be some interesting changes coming in the future, but for right now, at the very least, the conclave is there, and movement and communication is possible. Tomas, in his new form, does actually reach out to the conclave that night with using sending, and you're able to as well, Corrin. There is a lot of chaos going on. With the world split the way it is, they're having a hard time getting in touch with a lot of people, but the conclave branches themselves are, for the most part, whole, and so they're able to do some communicating between these new continents. They report to you that the Dreamer army itself was lost in the initial breaking. Like, the land in front of the tree literally split and went right through the army's encampment.
So the idiots who made the ritual killed themselves with it. Got it.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's what they wanted, though.
And that was the plan.
They were like, it's worth it. Well, I'm glad I'm not that brainwashed by an ideal.
I do
Yeah,
hope.
that'd be really terrible.
That would be really messed up. Not me, though.
Like if you thought humans were the only race that should be around.
That's not what I think.
Well, let's hope not, anyway. Well, you do stay the night. You have your long rest there. The next day, Blaznir is able to open the tree to go to Coltrast. And you said you wanted to teleport to the conclave, Corrin. I know Tomas would want to as well. Elegy, would you be going to Coltrast, or would you head to the conclave to report in as well, since you are a member?
I guess I just go report in to get that over with before I just, go back and start my own business.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, Blaznir, you and Ichabod head to Coltrast, appear in Blaznir's park. You get to see the big O fountain there. And I guess, Ichabod, you head to go find your family?
Yeah, I want to go hug my sons. Talk to Edmund.
Absolutely. Blaznir, what do you do in Coltrast once you return?
That is a very good question. That one archdruid that was I can't remember his name, but he was studying
Griggs.
Bachelor Grigg.
Mr. Griggs. Is he still in town, or is he off to his grove?
He was actually helping the conclave transport troops and that sort of thing for the impending fight they are planning. So he is not in Coltrast.
All right. Well. And all of the other archdruids were also in a conclave.
Yeah, but there were a few druids that were left behind in Coltrast, who had they were people who had been studying the dream route underneath Coltrast Keep. So there are a few druids still in Coltrast, just not the archdruid.
Then I suppose I'll find those druids and try to gather up whatever research they have, if they'll allow me.
Oh, yeah.
On the dream tree.
Absolutely. So you go and find those druids and kind of check in with them, and they let you know that the druids have been in contact with one another since the breaking happened. Archdruid Griggs is still alive. He is currently in the middle of the eastern side of the Dowrin Empire, not far from Port Valena. He's currently doing relief work and aid, helping people, searching for survivors, helping the infrastructure of Port Valena right now.
What a guy.
Ichabod, you find your eldest son, and actually all of your family members, inside Coltrast Keep.
I think when I left, I really gave Ishmael the impression that I was not coming back.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, take care of your mom, and just in case something happens to me. So I'm kind of curious to see what he thinks.
You, I imagine, go first. You check to see if they're at their mansion. The answer is no, or their house. The answer is no, they're not. You head up to the keep and find them. And a lot of the townspeople actually had, during the course of the breaking, there was massive earthquakes all over the continent, and people were freaking out. Most of the town headed up to the keep itself and was hiding out there, being the safest structure in the area. You find that your ex-wife, Prudence, is in charge of the refugees and keeping people calm as they're starting to make their way out again. You find Fear Not with her as well, and Fear Not just comes running up to you and gives you a gigantic hug the moment he sees you. You're battered, you're bloody, you're dirty as hell, and he just latches onto you crying.
All right, kiddo, no need to make a scene of it.
He tells you that Ishmael is with Lord Edmund right now. They've been planning on how to track down their people that they had sent to Weston, because they did send a lot of the militia and all the orcs to Weston to help with the fight, and they're in the process of discussing how to reach out to them. Your appearance, Ishmael has one of those. He looks at you like he's seen a ghost.
Hey, kid.
Father, he says, and he very awkwardly extends a hand to you.
I shake his hand, and then I pull him in and give him a big hug, and I say, we took care of it. Didn't go quite as we hoped, but it's done now.
There are tons of questions, as I'm sure you can imagine. Ishmael, at first when you pulled him in, he went stiff, but at the end he does hug you back. And you go ahead and give me an insight check.
Sure. 27.
You see some admiration in those eyes as he pulls away and he's looking at you.
No. He's proud of me. Okay. I don't. I look away.
Yeah.
Make light of the situation.
You look away, trying to hold back those tears, and your eyes catch Mavesy's, the Edmund's now chancellor, who assists him in the governing affairs, and he gives you a nod, and There's that whole awkward.
I kind of like Mavesy's now.
That whole awkward, I'm banging your wife.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm over that. I'm really over it. I think Mavesy's kind of a cool guy.
Okay.
So I give him a smile.
Nice.
Well, I understand everybody has a lot of questions, and I will take them all one at a time right after me and Mavesy's and my son here get something to drink.
Edmund's way ahead of
I have
yeah.
the rare whiskey from Liam from the dream. Can I pull that out and see if it exists in the real world still?
You pull it out and you look at it, and somehow through the magic of going through the dreams, it still exists. It's in your
real.
pocket.
All right, Edmund, get a few glasses because this is dream whiskey. This is the best whiskey we're ever gonna have in our whole lives. You're never gonna taste anything like this ever again.
All right, so let me break down how this is actually going to go for Ichabod. He's going to taste it. It will literally be the most insane, ethereal, incredible tasting whiskey that he's ever had in his life. And for the rest of his life, he will never be able to find another drink that matches up to it.
Yep. Ichabod deserves to suffer, so if that's
regardless of how much he loves all the people in his life, every night before he goes to bed, his last thought won't be of them. It'll be that dream whiskey.
I also have
again.
I also have one bottle of Brother Butter's beer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna toast to everybody to the fact that we're alive, and here's to whatever may come.
Absolutely. And everyone joins in with the toast. Edmund has some, your sons have some, even Prudence and Mavesy's has some as well. And everyone toasts you and the Debauchery Circus for somehow saving the world. There are, of course, lots of questions, and you regale them with the story. And I imagine Blaznir would do a better job of retelling the whole story, being a bard and all. And so everyone spends their day together, explaining what had happened, all the trials and tribulations you went through upon leaving Coltrast, so on and so forth. And at the same time, Elegy, Corrin, and Tomas are doing the exact same thing at the Conclave. Now, at the Conclave, you learn a little more of what happened in the world while you were fighting. The breaking obviously sent the world into a panic. The people who were gathering in Weston were, at the time that the world broke, were in the Margarden Federation. They had just crossed the river and were marching towards the army. Fortunately, the way you all were controlling the destruction through the Dreaming Tree, the Conclave army itself and the joint nations of the world's armies was able to, for the most part, avoid any casualties. Yay. There were a small amount. I mean, it's impossible for everybody to get out unscathed, but while the Dreamer army was absolutely decimated, your armies and the world's armies, not too bad off. There is a lot of logistical issues with recalling all of these soldiers and getting them back to their places. The Druid Grove people have a lot better ability than the magic wielders as far as that goes. There's not a ton of wizards out there who can cast things like teleport, who are currently available to help the Conclave, but there are the druids who are able to. And so, over the course of the next few weeks or so, people will be able to start getting back to where they need to go.
Yeah.
Oh, there is one thing that I need to mention, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
When we give our report to the Enclave, and I would mention this to Elegy before we give our report, the one thing that I want to ensure that we leave out from what we're telling folks is that I'm not giving them any kind of information that said that we had any sort of ability to decide how the world ended up.
Ooh,
Like
keep
I
it
will
a secret.
I will say, I can say something about, we were able to use our force of will to keep it from destroying the world or whatever, but
to limit its growth.
If I am not going to let the world know that we had the ability to make choices, because otherwise the people who don't like those choices are going to try and come after us.
We're going to be really controversial figures in the history of Loroupa.
So.
No, that's fair. We could keep it vague,
Yeah.
We were able to keep it from
100
being
years from
worse.
now, they're going to be tearing down all our statues.
Maybe.
Yeah, right now they're all gonna honor us, but then they're gonna find out the truth. All the bad shit we did over the course of
I'm just calling it, like...
That's how it's supposed to be.
That is usually how it ends up.
But yeah, you get what I'm saying, I think.
No, that's fair. You tell them the parts that they need to know, but you leave the vagaries just enough so that there's no questions about your part in the destruction that happened. And that is entirely fair. You give your reports and explain those things and tell everybody what had happened, and there is a lot of honoring of your group for the role you played in destroying the Dreamer and the cult army and saving the world as a whole. You're also told that while the Conclave's histories will absolutely reflect everything that you had done, how much of that will be spread into the world as at large will probably be on the lesser side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, your group will be honored as heroes for the role you played, but at the same time, not everybody in the world needs to know the full extent of your actions. Mm-hmm. Because, like you said, you don't want that much attention and...
Yeah, like, basically, we were in an unwinnable situation with an insanely complex magical ritual that will probably never be able to happen again, and we did what we had to do.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And people second-guessing it after the fact isn't going to change things.
Yeah, hindsight is 20/20.
And that's exactly why the Conclave isn't going to publish to a grand extent what all happened. There'll be vague reports and things like that, and probably the leadership of the nations will know more, but your average...
there will be documentation, but it's not out there for everybody.
Exactly. Exactly. Eventually, you're all able to return home, and I imagine the two of you head away leave the Conclave and get back to Coltrast sooner rather than later, because you know very well, Corrin, that after a week or so, travel's going to get a lot more complicated. Even spells like just teleport itself, while in the local sense isn't that big a deal, for global sense, there's a little more math involved and a little more...
Not everything is where it was.
Exactly.
And most of it's not where it was, so it's all going to be different.
So it is going to be very different. And time will tell what happens. I mean, and in the course of a few years, travel and things like that will probably be back to normal, or at least some semblance of normal. But no matter what... Yeah, but no matter what, the world has changed and things are going to be different. So you eventually return to your home of Coltrast. The city itself hails you as heroes. There are, of course, feasts thrown, parades held, and you are all honored as the heroes that you are. Maybe people here in Coltrast know a little bit more about what happened than the rest of the world, but even that's kind of up to you.
I think that would be kind of interesting. Like, there's people out there who know the full story.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you don't hold much back with your family. So...
I tell Ishmael. I would not tell anybody else, but Ishmael's a man now. He can handle those things.
I'll tell Edmund, but I'll also tell him that I'm proud of him for taking care of the citizenry.
He definitely appreciates that. He tells you that while no lives were lost in Coltrast itself, over the next few weeks, scouting reveals quite a bit of things. The area around Coltrast is very, very different now. It's basically its own island in the middle of a large sea. Combined with the city of Coltrast itself, you all find that there are a few other cities that are now a part of this area. Let's see here. This, besides Coltrast itself, the city of Lambrod, Turna, Misthold, and Florina are all on the same continent now that Coltrast is. Turna itself is no longer a fishing village. The sea is actually expanded and pushed away from it, and there's a lot more land around that area now.
Sucks to be Turna.
Mm-hmm.
All those fishermen got to learn how to be farmers
Yeah.
or move.
Starve to death.
Port Souliard is at the very farthest end of the new continent of, well, Edmund's just calling the whole region Coltrast right now until he can figure out what's going to be done. Because they've sent missives to Northamia, so they've cast sending and sent messages back and forth, but Northamia itself is in utter chaos from everything that's happened. And so there's a lot going on. So, with relative peace, or at least some form of peace about you, this is about the time that your adventuring days will come to at least somewhat of an end. Everyone has lives to live and adventures to have, but for at least this moment, as your group, the Debauchery Circus, your adventures as a team have come to an end. We're going to go around the table and talk a little bit about what you will see for the future of your characters, and how you envision them proceeding from this point forward. Why don't we start things off with Corrin?
Sure. So, in the future, I would most likely hang out in the city for a while. I would advise Edmund, help shape him into an impressive leader. He's already doing pretty well himself, but, you know, the nuances, the ins and outs of politics and all that stuff are something that the Fae are quite acquainted with, having to deal with all of the different court protocols. Personally, I would spend my free time, aside from any time that I spend with Ichabod, coming up with 2 new spells. One for my own personal use, and the other I would try to disseminate as widely as possible. The one that I would disseminate is the one that would protect against ray attacks, or at least eye rays specifically as like a reaction thing.
Okay.
So that way if something hits you with one, it will, like, you cast it and it'll reflect it back at them or something. And then the one that I would make for my personal use is essentially a spell that would hide someone's accent. So that way I sound like an actual Elven speaker instead of somebody who learned it later. Because one of the things that me and Brie talked about is that Corrin and Ichabod would probably try and keep Ilmythica and her home from going to war. Now that the elves have to interact with people.
We'd be good ambassadors for human-elven relations.
Yeah.
So maybe we can try to stave off any war.
I like it. Well, Edmund will definitely be willing to offer you a position within his court as that advisor and kind of major domo over the whole thing. Over the next couple of years, as Edmund solidifies his power on this continent, relations between Coltrast and Northamia itself slowly becomes frayed. Northamia got hit hard by the change of the world, and there were a lot of tidal waves and things like that, and the landscape has changed quite a bit around that area. And they kind of have to really focus on solidifying their own power within their region.
Coltrust has become the new Northamia.
Coltrast,
capital.
Coltrast has actually become a kingdom in its own right over the course. Basically, within about 10 years of the breaking, Coltrast is its own kingdom with Edmund at the head. Facilitated a lot, I imagine, by your group. Heading off to Ilmithica and Gulfrin, because eventually, the teleportation lines do mend up, the ley lines even themselves out and find their new places. So travel does become magical. Travel becomes easier after about a year or so, and over those next 10 years, as Coltrast is establishing itself as a country, the two of you heading to Gulfrin and to Ilmithica and back again as ambassadors helps to solidify the Coltrast itself becoming a nation by establishing trade and establishing political lines. Now, Gulfrin and Ilmithica's merger definitely leaves some very odd feelings. While the portal to the Fey realm on the island of Jura, what is now much farther away, it's actually on a separate part of the world than it once was. The portal to the Shadow Realm is still within Gulfrin. Ilmithica, now not having a boundary of mountains, has to actually deal with the world a little bit more. But it's also publicly revealed that there are a lot more people living in Ilmithica than just elves. Over the course of the last 1,000 or so years, Ilmithica has slowly allowed people to come into their borders, seeking refuge and that sort of thing. And those people have thrived and flourished within the kingdom itself. But the elves still ruled and reigned supreme. But now that they're forced to deal with Gulfrin, it's making the elves be more open for their borders, and it's also forcing the Gulfrin people to face the fact that they have to deal with outsiders.
Yeah, it's good for both of them.
Over that 10-year period, there is quite a bit of fighting, and while wars don't necessarily break out, thanks in no small part to your efforts. In that time period, there's definitely more hostility between them, and there's a lot of adventure to be had there as well. Now, Ichabod, what do you see as, other than, going back and forth between Gulfrin and Coltrast, what do you envision as Ichabod's future over those next 10 years?
I would think... Let me make sure my mic is on, right? Okay.
Yep.
So I would think that Ichabod would probably do like security stuff in Contrast. I was thinking like he could train soldiers, because I spent a lot of time this campaign critiquing people's martial prowess.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that would be a good job for him. But he follows his own behavior patterns. So after a few years, he would definitely get restless and want to like start going out and doing the same things over again. You know, like fighting evil, etc. He's like, Ichabod's a guy who needs to feel like he's useful at all times, and he's never more useful than when he's tanking. So
Yeah, absolutely.
it's like, I need to shoulder every burden of the world. So there's bad stuff out there. I have to be the one to take care of it.
Well, there's definitely a lot of burdens to shoulder in this new world post-breaking. No doubt, with your work as security around Coltress itself, building up their militia, training people like that, you attract followers who want to learn from you, learn how to fight the way you do, learning how to be a warrior in the same way you are, and much like your time in Gulfrin with the Fists of the Father, you find yourself once again training up a new army of paladins, some of which who accompany you on these quests that you tend to go on.
Nice. Got all my little squires.
Mm-hmm.
I like bossing people around too. So.
and with your love of bossing people around, this team of paladins that you slowly train up and take on adventures with you form up a new regiment of the Fists of the Father. As time goes on, some of them spread out and move away to other parts of the world, other cities, other continents. But as they do so, they continue on that same teachings that you taught them. And over the course of, talking over the next few decades, more small pockets of the Fists of the Fathers pop up here and there in major cities.
Them's my people.
Blaznir, what do
Yes.
you do for those next handful of years after your adventures?
Well, Blaznir for the first year or so would find a way to travel around and visit druid groves and places, especially places that would have information on this dreaming tree, and just start gathering up as much information as he can on it.
Okay.
And yeah, that's what he'd be doing for first year. After that, after he feels he's collected sufficient amounts of information, he would eventually travel to the base of the dreaming tree again, and kind of start making his own little druid grove there. He'd start doing that for quite a while, and eventually, hopefully, get his own circle, and kind of act as a sort of protector for the dreaming tree, making sure there's no more cultists that want to use it for their own gain, or really just make sure it doesn't try to start doing anything anymore.
Keeping an eye on it.
Yeah, and
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. Your travels take you to druid groves around the world. Now that the great continent has separated, there's different druid groves all over the world. And traveling between them, you find people who have similar mindsets as you in regards to this strange, gigantic tree that now occupies the northern hemisphere of your world. There is a lot of ancient writings that are eventually uncovered. some of which comes from the Conclave, others comes from the Druid Grove, and the Fey Realms as well. The Druid Groves themselves are quite a bit changed when you find them. The portal to the Fey Realm that used to hop from grove to grove to grove, because they grew their Druid Groves around these places. The portals don't appear there anymore. Actually, only 2 of the Druid Groves that exist still have active portals that appear, and they appear less frequently than they used to. There is plans to go out and search for these portals and build up new Druid Groves around them to maintain the order that the Druids have across Loroupa, but it's still early days. And your talk of heading to the Dreaming Tree itself to do more research and to start to understand that more does gain you a bit of a following, so that when you do finally head to the Dreaming Tree and begin to establish your grove there, you have a good number of followers who come along with you to help out with that. Now, creating a Druid Grove in and among a tangle of roots and system like that is a bit odd, but there's still land attached to it as well, and you do find a lovely spot nestled between several large roots that is a perfect place that you're able to grow yourself a new grove. It takes time, but druids tend to have some longevity. And so over the course of decades, you start to establish this grove specifically to protect and understand and be able to I'd say understand is the right word. Be able to understand this thing that now takes up a large portion of the world.
And I've got a circle that my druids would follow. The Circle of Dreams.
I like it.
From Xanathars.
Xanathars,
Guide.
Nice.
Yeah.
So the Circle of Dreams established at the base of the Dreaming Tree itself.
Beautiful.
Elegy, how about you? What do you do over the next decade or so and beyond?
So I feel like Elegy would start working on her dojo. You'll get that built and everything, and probably for a little bit at least kind of go out and go on a search for people to both work there and also learn there. Once that became well established, of course she'd get antsy and wanderlust will set in, so then she'd start traveling and just probably gathering people there and just travel for her own adventures. Of course she'd still stop by regularly. She's not gonna get it set up and leave it for good. She's come by and check in here and there. But yeah, definitely get that started and going strong.
Yeah, absolutely. The dojo in Contrast attracts a lot of fighters and martial artists to come and train. Contrast during that time becomes a pretty large haven for adventurers looking to have a base in this new world. And so your dojo is able to grow by leaps and bounds. Eventually, Master Ohm returns to Contrast as well and seeks you out to continue your training under his tutelage. He spends some time training your students as well. Over the course of the years, you find many people who are willing to study under you, travel with you, your mastery of the martial arts becomes a bit legendary in your own time. Eventually, that wanderlust takes you, and you set off on many adventures, and the world is new and different, so there's lots to explore. And then eventually, you know, that time comes in every turtle's life, and you go off to, you know, mate, have your brood, and continue on the cycle of life that every turtle lives.
For sure. I definitely would, yeah, and I definitely would like kind of train some certain things like that. I've just done throughout my travels, like the dragon riding thing. I'd probably incorporate some of that kind of training, or like when the whole running up the walls and things, like definitely would be incorporating all that into the classes and whatnot.
I think there is a like a way of the dragon or something like that as a monastery tradition.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the martial art that you invent.
That would be pretty cool.
I like it. Well, time does move on, and over the course of years, Ichabod has grandkids that come up. Corrin, you get to see Coltrast go from a place of chaos into a kingdom in its own right. There's monasteries that are training martial artists. There's the Fists of the Father training up paladins. The country of Coltrast is turning into a pretty interesting one, which is probably why we'll maybe start our campaign 2 in that area, and then go on from there. But overall, does anybody have anything else that they would like to add about the future of their characters?
Might try to kill that Zaim. I know I mentioned it to Mavesies, so maybe I get some of my paladins together, Mavesies.
Well, good question. Yeah, mentioning the Zaim, there is a report that comes from the Erudite Conclave about the Blue Dragon Arcades.
Mm-hmm.
During the breaking, when the world was splitting and the tree was growing, a massive sapphire dragon was seen flying up into the air as the world was breaking, and they spotted it flying away.
Ha, coward.
After that, there's no sign of the Blue Dragon or the Sapphire Dragon Arcades on Loroupa. It seems that he left the moment the tree grew.
He flew through outer space.
He did.
King.
Coward.
Coward. Running away from a whole planet like a bitch. Well, I'll keep an eye out for him, because if he comes back, he's gonna fucking get it.
Yeah. You can absolutely set up watches in various places, looking for
I just have some paladins that are like keeping an eye on any kind of reports and the people in the conclave and stuff. So if anybody says that there's one, somebody comes to me and says, he's been spotted. I'm like, okay, we'll look into it.
But you never know, he might pop up again in the future, but that's a tale for another time.
Yeah.
Anybody have anything else they do that they want to mention?
I think Blaznir would, even though being a druid does extend his lifespan quite a bit, he would still be searching for some other way to expand it a bit more.
Uh-huh, like
not
what?
evilly, not evilly,
Like
but
what, bud?
he's not gonna kill people to do it. But like,
Mhm.
there'll be times where he would be like, I wish I had a bit more time to make sure this thing never, this tree never gets used for evil. And so he would try to find ways to extend his life even more. If he doesn't, then, but
So I've kind of imagined that over the course of time, you found some way to alter your body with plant material, replacing things as they started to like fail you, and over the course, there's kind of this metamorphosis that happens over many decades, if not longer. But eventually, you transform yourself into a kind of not a lich per se, but kind of a naturalistic version of the same.
Like a dryadish thing.
Yeah.
just attune my life force to the tree itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like you're a part of it now.
Yeah, that's kind of how I envision it for Blaznir. Eventually, he just becomes a part of the Dreaming Tree itself, and you live your existence as its natural guardian and defender. Because different forces will eventually try to go back to that tree and do bad fuckery, but there is the Circle of Dreams and this odd sort of being that resides within the tree itself that just always appears to defend it whenever necessary.
I love it.
While the
That's
history,
pretty cool.
yeah, while the history and annuals might forget the name, I doubt you would. I imagine that's kind of Blaznir's fate, to be the eternal defender of the Dreaming Tree.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
I like it too.
Anybody
You
have
don't get
anything
to
else?
take time off. You get to work forever.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Blaznir wants, though.
Yeah,
He likes it.
yeah, absolutely.
He likes, fighting. He likes, as much as he claims he doesn't, he likes
Ooh.
protecting the wilds.
At least for like a year or a semester or whatever it would be. I'm going to go to the Institute Arcanum
Okay.
and teach a class.
Mm-hmm.
And that class will basically be a cautionary tale. Sort of like a class version of, read the warnings before you cast the spell.
Mm-hmm.
So that I can try and keep people from doing what my master ended up doing and almost destroying the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you ever reveal to them who you originally were?
I don't know.
Nah. They don't
Probably
use it.
not.
Yeah, that's fair. Given your connection with the Conclave and your role in Coltrast and the fact that you are one of the saviors of the world, I'm sure the Institute would not question you as a guest speaker and things like that. They might, ask you where you learned, that sort of thing. But you have your backstory, and considering what's going on in Il Mythica during that time, nobody really questions it.
Yeah. Basically just studying is good, knowledge is good, reaching for the stars also good. But just don't take it too far.
Yeah.
Temper it with wisdom.
One of the side effects of everything that happened is that Il Mythica becomes much less insular, like I mentioned before. Elves start spreading out and start traveling a lot more. You probably have a little bit of help in that, in spreading that, hey, we need to not be so xenophobic, we need to get out in the world more. And as a result, more elves do start traveling and start getting out there and start living in other countries and other places. So the elves are a lot more active in the world as a result. LG, I see what you had typed. Go ahead and tell us what it is you have in your dojo.
Yeah, I kind of want like stained glass throughout, depicting my epic things, like that castle wall climb, and I would have the whole sequence: me going up the wall, being knocked down, getting back up, and running back up the wall. Like the whole thing would be up there. Of course, the dragon riding I'd have on different stained glass of the dragon riding, running up the jumping off the wall and landing on him, everything. It'd be almost comic book style.
It's a Sistine Chapel style windows, but it's all of Elegy. Elegy basically becomes the new martial art Jesus.
Basically. And then I'd probably have like smaller stained glass, like that have all the different names I've gone by. And then of course, there's gonna be constant work putting in new ones as I change my name throughout the years.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. You tend to not hold on to a name for longer than a year because that's just what turtles do. And so in the end, your dojo just has names all around it, filled just with all the different names you go by through the course of your life. I imagine hundreds of years later, your apostates, the monks who still train there, like they chant these names over and over again as a mantra, and a lot of your followers, turtle or not turtle, just start taking up the same habit of changing their names every so often when a life altering event happens. So, like, I kind of have this idea of calling them the no-name monks or something along those lines.
Yeah, I was kind of. Ooh, I like that. The nameless ones. I like
the
that.
nameless ones. I like it.
Yeah, I gotta think of a name for the dojo that incorporates that. Unless maybe just the nameless dojo.
There is no name for the dojo.
The ever
Just
name.
the dojo.
There you go, the dojo.
The dojo. I like it.
First rule about the dojo: you do not talk about the dojo.
Hey, where'd you study at? At the dojo.
The dojo? Oh my god.
I like it. Okay. Well, I think this is a great place to pause and take a break. And when we get back, we're going to turn things from the characters talking about what they do over the years to the players themselves to talk a little bit about the campaign and what we've done. So stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back. Howdy, everybody. We are back. And when we last left off, we were talking about what we all saw for our heroes, the Debauchery Circus, in the years to come. But now that we've talked about that, let's meet our cast and talk a little bit about them real quick. So why don't we go around the table and y'all can introduce yourselves. Let's start with Steven.
So my name's Steven. I joined this game after I moved to a new state.
Okay.
I've been playing D&D for a long time. I started with 3rd edition when it first came out, but I've played pretty much every edition except 4th and a lot of other games besides.
Right on. Brie, you go next.
Hi, I'm Briana, and I'm usually a DM, but I'm playing in this one, and I play Ichabod, as you know.
Matthew, why don't you go next?
Hi, I'm Matthew. I'm the DM's child. Although I'm not much of a child at this point, but bit older now. But this is really my first full D&D campaign. I don't get to play too much besides this, cause yeah. But you know, it's fun.
Yeah, this is Matthew's first full campaign that he played from start to finish. We play like occasionally at home and stuff like that and bounce around between different games, but this is really the first major one we've been through. Brandie, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Brandie. I married to the DM, also mother to Matthew, obviously. This hi. So yeah, this is, I guess, well, technically my second full campaign, because the other one we played with Ross and all of our friends, that I think we completed that one. But that one wasn't online, like, or at least it wasn't broadcast online. So it's my first online broadcasted game.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and of course, I introduce myself all the time, but I'm Matthew R. Dawson, the host, game master, and showrunner here on Random Rhapsody. I kind of explained this a little bit in the story so far, the very first episode on the Debauchery Circus's playlist. But basically, what happened was during the quarantine, we were all bored and had nothing better to do, so we started playing D&D, and I put together some ads looking for some players, found a few, ended up starting 2 campaigns, and just kept going from there, and that's when we started streaming, and here we are 3 years later.
Mm-hmm.
So how do y'all feel going from level 1 to level, what are you now, 16, I guess?
It was pretty intense.
Yeah, that's the highest level I've ever gotten to in D&D. I think it's pretty freaking cool.
It's got a lot of fun, things and options to do at that high level. We will definitely be seeing these characters again, since they did survive. They have the opportunity to not only be NPCs in future campaigns, but we'll probably do at least one more one-shot with these characters. So.
Oh yeah, I took the lucky feat when we leveled up, so I should be spending my luck points.
Must be even more ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Well, so what would you say was your favorite moment in the campaign as a whole? I'm just going to open it up to anybody. I want to hear everyone's reaction, but whoever wants to answer first can.
So, like, if you ask someone to give you a nickname, it's generally considered to be kind of lame. As opposed to when somebody actually just, like, gives you a nickname on their own. And sometimes it can be, you know, teasing or whatever, but you often tend to get the most, like, honest things when people are in bad situations and they're just kind of, you know, saying what they actually feel. So, the moment, although I as a character wasn't aware of it, when I got named the emotional support twink, was pretty good.
That was hilarious.
That's funny. I was like, where's he going with this?
Did someone nickname themselves? Like,
that was pretty good.
That was good.
I have 2 favorite moments. So I have when we put on the circus in Coltras. I think that was like my favorite whole sequence, just because of like the planning, and we made the secret flyers, and also because it was a little bit like revolutionary. Like, you know, we had to secretly get the people on our side so they know when to rise up. And then just being able, it's like, you know, planting ideas through art, which is just like a concept that I'm really into. And I liked the way that the show went. I thought it was like funny, and everybody got to showcase their skills, and Ichabod as the MC was kind of fun to play.
Oh yeah.
My second favorite moment. Wait, go ahead.
If by showcase their skills you mean get shot with arrows, then yes.
You did something else too, right? Yeah, you showcase your skills by making sure none of those arrows actually hit you by changing time.
Yeah, it came close. There was a couple times it came really close.
My other favorite moment was when Ichabod went on his solo mission to Port Suliard, and was just having a really bad time, because I like playing characters who are real bastards. Yeah. So it was a good character moment for Ichabod to just be like suffering, and then to start a fight in the bar, but like to double down instead of backing off, because that's absolutely what he would do. It's just like always double down and be like, you know what, I'm a little tipsy and I'm mad and I'm gonna take it out on all these people. And that's the kind of guy I am. So it was just good character moment. I like that one.
Oh yeah, love it. Okay. Who wants to go next? Okay, Matthew, I heard you. Go for it.
Yeah, sure. Hi. Favorite character or favorite D&D moment? I don't remember much.
What about the natural one trying to talk to the guard?
When I waved at him?
Is that a good moment?
Was that when I waved at the guard that one time?
So.
While we were in Coltras.
You know, I wouldn't. The guard didn't need to be that mean to me. I was just waving. You know. Yeah,
but he was a dour guy. You were just causing a scene.
I was causing a scene by saying hi to the local law enforcement.
Yeah,
that's my bad. That's.
What about all the times that you summoned all those giant spiders?
That was fun. I wish I got to do that in the last fight, actually.
Yeah, you should have done that.
I was low-key surprised you didn't do that.
Yeah, no, I forgot about that, honestly.
Okay, fair enough. Brandie, how about you? Or Matthew, you got something else?
No, I don't think I got anything.
Fair enough. So, Brandie, what was your favorite moment for your character?
I mean, I've got too many of them, honestly. First one, I'm gonna go way back, and it's kind of insignificant, but it was hilarious. But it was back when Turgot was in the party, and he filled his pockets with mashed potatoes and just random food.
That was
and then just
first session.
Yeah. I just love that whole scene. Just every so often, randomly, just pulling mashed potatoes out of his pocket, eating them. It just, I don't know. It's kind of silly and insignificant, but hilarious at the same time.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments for Blaznir was when Willow first showed up, and you had no idea that Willow was on the other side of the door. You just saw someone open it and look, and so Blaznir just walks over to it and opens them like, "Hey, how's it going?" And Willow grabs you and pulls you in.
Yep, and I was like, if you don't let him go, I'm sending a lightning bolt straight through that door.
Yep.
Oh, actually, I think my favorite moment for Blaznir was when he got 35 passive perception.
Yes.
Oh my god, that was so annoying.
I can see and hear everything. No secrets are safe.
You kind of went way back, and it reminded me of when Fontaine, when they first were meeting the orcs, and the orcs had Fontaine's aunt hostage, and Fontaine gave a very impassioned speech to try to convince them that we could be on the same side. And that was a good moment.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of Fontaine, I love that whole battle where she just sat out of it.
Yeah.
She didn't have to participate. She sat on the,
She
on the
had-
out.
Yeah, she had moral opposition to the battle.
First time we met Sir Portleon.
Yep.
Mhm.
We would have won if Fontaine, fought.
Yep, because Fontaine was the most powerful of us all.
She was.
If she was in that fight, like, that guy wouldn't have stood a chance.
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, that's just how you guys act, so I'll take it. Fontaine's the best. Extremely powerful, would have changed everything.
Still owes her aunt a vacation.
Yep.
She's probably taken her aunt to, like, a different dimension by now.
Probably. Probably.
She's like, you don't need a vacation here. I'll take you to the falls of blah, blah, blah.
So now I can actually tell you now that the one shot that we ran, it takes place like about the same time that the breaking happens.
The Valentine's one-shot?
Yeah, the Valentine's one shot when you all went in to save Finn's soul when Fontaine went to, that was about around the same time that the breaking was happening. Thereabouts, like within a few days ish. So they're actually kind of concurrent to the world as well.
That one was cool because I got to use mass suggestion on all of those peons, and it didn't actually remove peons from the fight because you brought in some elementals or whatever they were. But I just loved being able to just look at all of the devils there and go, hey, why don't you just sit this one out and then maybe one of you guys can take over after we beat up your boss.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
I was going to say, who was absent during that entire fight with the Dreamer? Fontaine.
She could have showed up at any time, but she didn't.
I'm,
Pissed.
She had better things to do.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
She was, like, literally just chilling.
No, that's when she... No, because
Yeah,
I said that happened about the same time. So she would have been out there
In hell.
in
yeah,
hell.
she's in hell, having a good time.
Yeah.
Just, I'm just saying, Fontaine could have helped.
Mm-hmm.
Would have went a lot better.
Right.
Another one of my favorite moments is, when I do the whole 1-2 hit with my quarterstaff and flurry of blows, do a bunch of damage, and hit a couple guys. Oh wait, that was almost every battle.
Yeah, that was every moment.
Seriously, dragon riding. I think that's got to be very right up there at the top of my list.
Oh yeah, that was funny. Riding the leafy dragon.
Yeah.
It's easy to ride.
Enlarge.
I mean,
Both
the
times I
leaves
got
helped because the first time she fell off.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and the getting enlarged on the first dragon, that was epic. I just wish I was a little bit heavier so that could have been even more epic.
Yeah.
If his strength was just a little bit lower, you would have brought him down. He was just right at that cusp where you weren't quite heavy enough. Okay.
I mean, I gotta give mad props to Blaznir for helping out with that, though.
I will say, because, I remember she was talking about OG is a bit lighter for a turtle.
Mm-hmm.
Turtles are supposed to be, super heavy.
Yeah.
I think it was 600 to 700 pounds, and for some reason I put that she's 450.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So-
I mean, you're a monk, so you're just a little bit leaner than most turtles.
Yeah, probably.
All the other turtles give her grief about it.
You're so
Man,
weird.
you need to eat some more.
Especially the ones who are sumo wrestlers.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, since we did our favorite moments, what is the most bittersweet moment for you from the campaign?
We mentioned the Valentine's Day one shot already, but that was what I was going to refer to, because it was like Finn getting the end of his story, and reuniting with his love, and then Fontaine kind of getting a send-off. So it was it was happy, but it was also goodbye to these characters.
Yeah.
I think the one that was bittersweet for me was actually, it wasn't fully in the actual campaign itself, but was when Finn got his familiar from the Pact of the Chain, because it was sent to him by Kaelin, and basically just that, bittersweetness of, no matter what happens, remember that I will always love you. And so it was like, yeah, he got a new friend and all, but it's just a reminder of what he had yet to save, and it was kind of emotional and intense.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Brandie? What was your most bittersweet moment?
I would say probably one would be when Elegy became the last surviving member of the original, or not surviving, but the last member of the original party, continuing on this adventure. Most of them died. Of course, Fontaine went off on her own, and Finn went off. But yeah, but then it's kind of nice getting in the new party and learning to work with them, and also Shadowfire's reappearance.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
Shadowfire.
When Shadowfire showed up as a zombie.
Yeah, zombie Shadowfire.
I think that was my favorite moment for Willow too, because the moment Willow saw that, she just freaked out and went running and started.
Went nuts.
Yeah.
Poor Willow.
Poor Willow, played by our good friend John, who unfortunately had to stop playing because of work obligations.
Does Willow's soul get returned to her, or is she just stuck forever?
Well, that's an adventure for the future, and I actually had some ideas of that for being a one-shot for y'all.
Well, then I'm sorry for overstepping my bounds.
Oh, no worries. I'm glad you brought it up. I'm glad you brought it up, because that is where I was thinking about writing the next one-shot for the Debauchery Circus.
Shadows in the Wind going to save her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's exactly what Shadows said he was going to do. Him and his wife were going to go try to figure out a way to bring her soul back. Mm-hmm. So I think that'd be a fun way to do it. Blaznir, what was your most bittersweet moment? Or Matthew, I should say. Matthew, what was your most bittersweet moment?
The entire reason I took the Devil's Sight of Eldritch Adapt feat, we were in a cave fighting, I can't remember what type of dragon, and something kept casting darkness on me. And so I had nothing to do with that entire fight, so yeah, I took a feat about it.
I mean, hey, good way to overcome that obstacle.
There's also the fight with my master when he turned into a gold dragon, who are of course immune to fire, sadly.
Oh god, that fight.
What's bittersweet about that?
I didn't get any cool feats for it.
He got to kill it.
Yeah.
Oh, I did.
He got the killing
I guess
blow.
that is the sweet part.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, I got the final kill on both the bosses, the dragon and the dreamer.
Yeah,
you did.
Nice. That's nice.
Good job, Blaznir. Good work.
What can I say? Blaznir is the most powerful here.
Blaznir is pretty freaking powerful.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that druid bard combo is interesting.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be good.
Yeah, but it ended up working in your favor. Okay. So who is your favorite NPC throughout the campaign? You interacted with a lot of them.
So many of them. I've got a few.
Okay, go for it.
I forgot what her name was, but the leader of the Red Tusk Orcs.
Oh God, what is her name? Let me look.
She was certified badass, woman of simple pleasures. So she did really want that fucking jug that made ale. She was
Infinite
like, all right,
beer.
infinite beer. So I like anybody
it'll
like that.
only make so much a day, but every day, more beer.
Yeah. Also, obviously, I love my son, both of them, both my sons. But I thought Ishmael had good characterization. I mentioned it before, but there was that time, like right after we like found him again, when I was like walking away, and he was like, "Yeah, just leave like you always do," and I was like, "No." Really hurt my feelings.
Follow-up question for Ishmael: which child is your favorite?
For Ishmael.
For
Mhm.
Ichabod.
For Ichabod, which child is my favorite? Well, it's pretty obvious. I only have a bond with my eldest son is everything to me. I do damn near anything to repair our relationship and earn his affection. I love my son.
Yeah.
I mean, Fear Not is great and all. He's a good boy, but that's my eldest son. And then last but not least, Mavesies. I do like him.
Mavesies he's a fun character. I liked him.
Yeah, I liked his personality. I also thought I like how he was revealed to be the woman or the guy that my wife was now dating, because it was like he was such a nobody to Ichabod, and Ichabod really treated him like dirt. In the fucking, I like slapped the thing out of his hand. I think I probably insulted him a couple times before I ever knew who he was. And then it was like, him, the DJ?
Plus, just the fact that
sleeping with the DJ.
Ichabod started out as like very religious and very pro-human, and here his wife is dating a literal, devilish tiefling.
Yeah, but he was just like kind of a good dude, and then Ichabod realized that he had nothing against him, And I feel like after this they become buddies, and I don't know how Prudence feels about that, but it's like my husband and my ex-husband are best friends.
Yep.
Yeah,
like
I kind of imagine that too. That like over the years go by, you and Ichabod and Mavesies would become closer friends.
And we have the most important thing in common, which is that we both care about my kids and them being okay. So that's all. I kind of
imagine that Prudence would be weirded about it. Like even as the years go by, she'd always be kind of standoffish.
Yeah,
I mean it's like if your girlfriend is talking to your ex-girlfriend about you,
and they become good friends.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, that's exactly the vibe that we have after the fact.
So this was before we started streaming, but one of the NPCs that I liked was the halfling cleric who went on that first adventure with us.
Oh, Inham.
Because we made so many jokes about her being taken with Shadowfire.
Yeah.
And then we find out later. We find out later that he actually was with a small
the love
character,
story
anyways.
Was revealed.
Yep.
With him and Willow.
Yeah.
Also, I got to make the song about him.
Oh, Blame Shadowfire.
Blame Shadowfire.
I remember that. Oh, the red tusk orc that you were talking about, Bonebreaker Darklax.
Yeah, Bonebreaker Darklax, certified badass, just a beautiful person.
And then I've also, of course, got to mention Edmund, my son, because I was more of a father figure to him in one day than Ichabod was.
He's like, I only like Edmund because I can win an imaginary fight with Ichabod.
Pretty much.
About who's more of his dad. It's like you're competing with yourself.
Okay. Brandie, Matthew, how about you two? Who are your favorite NPCs?
I mean, I was gonna say Edmund because I feel like he was kind of like a little brother, like a little kid brother to me. And while I have many siblings, I don't have a relationship with any of them. So it's kind of nice, kind of refreshing for a change to have like a, kind of a kid brother type thing going on.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Funny thing is like Edmund, when I brought him into the campaign, he was meant to just be like basically a fetch quest. You take him from point A to point B and you have him a little bit. But as the story went and I kept getting more ideas of how to work it in, he just really became a major character. And I'd say he's probably the biggest NPC of this campaign.
Yeah, for sure.
How about you,
Especially
Matthew?
with his epilogue.
You know, I'm trying to think of an NPC that isn't Edmund, but I mean,
What about Bachelor Griggs?
Bachelor was I did like the druids, but it's also because I was playing a druid, so
Sure.
kind of have to like them.
Well, yeah, I
And
like my son because I was playing his father.
Oh yeah,
I like Bachelor because he reincarnated me when I was dead.
That is true. That is true.
what was that one druid I talked to at the wherever that was before the big finale fights?
Oh God, what is... I know exactly who you're talking about. I'm actually blanking on his name right now, though.
Yeah, I
So
don't know if I ever caught his name. I probably did, but
Yeah, it's in one of my notes somewhere, but I'm not going to go dig around for it for like 20 minutes. But let's see if I can
that's fair.
find him.
But yeah, I liked the I mean, I liked the druids. They were nice. Got to actually show Blaznir be a little bit of a fanboy towards archdruids.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he grew up around druids, hearing stories about the bigger circles, and he was,
Boy.
and when we met, Bachelor, we were more focused on Corrin.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That is true.
I liked Mavesy's.
Liked Mavesy's.
Yeah, he was nice.
Honorary mention to Father Amos.
Father Amos.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
I like Father Amos. He was a good guy.
he's a good guy, isn't he?
Honorary mention to the brothel owner. And because Brie didn't, honorary mention to Brother Butters as well.
Shout out to Brother Butters.
Brother Butters.
He was kind of an idiot, but
I wish I got him.
that's why I liked him, was because he was such an idiot.
He died, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he's 100% dead.
All right. Well, I'm gonna reincarnate him. That I can't stand for that.
You don't have his corpse.
I can find it. Okay.
We can find it.
Yeah, we'll go and dig around there.
Hey, maybe he spit in that
We probably
beer
did bury him. He almost certainly spit in this beer. I think we were passing it stuff back and forth, so.
So you could use the spit to reincarnate him.
What?
At some point I'll have. I might be able to get true resurrection.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
At some point.
Yeah, I don't want
As-
him to be different when he comes
as a
back.
player, I always just prefer reincarnate because it's way more fun to come back as something weird.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, but this is an NPC we're
This
talking.
is about Brother Butters.
This is true.
I need him to exist exactly as he was.
Yeah, Tomas
I-
might be a little upset with me because apparently halflings usually live to be about 150 or so compared to humans.
Yeah, this is true.
Sorry, bud. Get over it.
I kind of envision that Tomas, once he's back with the Conclave, he would stick with them, and eventually become one of the head archivists of one of the Conclave branches. Not sure which one yet, but
Hopefully he can recover all his notes.
Mm.
Like, if he got the thing back, would it bring his original book?
no. The book that he had of the notes was destroyed by the Beholder Ray.
Yeah.
It wasn't magical.
No, the
It
book
was like
itself
a
is not
set, too.
magical. No.
Wow.
It was just in an extra space.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because it was housed in his tattoo, then the tattoo didn't exist because he was reincarnated, but then if he got the tattoo again, would it open the same dimensional space? Because wouldn't the book be out, it's out there, but it's in a dimensional space that we can't access.
Hmm,
Yeah, it's like
that's-
in the
that's-
astral sea.
Yeah,
That's an
because it's like,
interesting point.
because I wonder if like if he got the same tattoo again, would it go to the same space or does it create a new one? And is there just a book, that has the perfect log of everything that happened, the truth? Ooh, that would be kind of interesting for campaign 2 if people don't know the truth about what we did, but it's all logged in that book, and then it's just floating around in the.
I don't know if any of us told him about our ability to control things.
He was experiencing
He was a part of it.
Oh, I thought you said he was the only one who wasn't.
No, he was.
Okay.
Ichabod threw him one of the crystals.
Yeah.
He grabbed it and
because
and
Blaznir
used it.
didn't want to have one.
Mhm.
In
I
his
didn't
hand,
have
so
one,
he
but-
used the one that he was holding, and then I threw the other one to.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of which did dissolve away. So none of the characters have the dream shards anymore.
Oh no, my dream shard. Except for Fontaine.
Except for Fontaine. Fontaine still has hers.
And
Nice.
Finn.
And Finn. Well, I don't know
No,
if Finn died.
No,
Actually,
Finn
no,
would,
he
wouldn't
died.
have. Yeah, he died.
So yeah, he wouldn't have it.
Fontaine's
No,
out here.
Finn's crystal was actually dug up by
I think that-
Corrin's master. I mentioned that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he had dug those up and he had used them, and one of them was powering that device that you all found in his workshop. That was the tube that you took. It was inside there.
He dug up things in Turgot's grave.
Uh-huh. He did.
Oh. Can Turgot come back as a revenant for a little bit? Revenant?
Sure. Well,
Probably.
he shouldn't because the guy's dead.
Yeah, the guy's dead, so it
The
doesn't
guy's
matter
dead.
anymore.
Yeah, but I
have
don't
come
doubt
back
that.
to kill you. That guy's already dead.
He already did it. And he's like,
Oh,
can I hang out for like a little bit?
very well
I'm
then.
dead.
Goodbye.
He's dead for a while.
Somewhere there's a revenant Turgot walking around Loroupa, just pulling out rotten mashed potatoes from his pockets.
It takes a little while.
Please. I think it would really wrap up Turgot's storyline.
Yeah, I'm down for that. It's canon.
There you go.
I will get to my vengeance. The dude's dead.
In that case, I'll get some mashed potatoes. I came here to get vengeance and eat mashed potatoes, and I'm all out of vengeance.
Oh my god, I'm gonna put that on a T-shirt.
Oh,
And the guy I wanted to get vengeance on is already dead.
Love it. Okay. Let's see. I'm kind of disappointed that nobody mentioned Tomas as their favorite NPC.
Sorry, Tomas.
I mean, at a certain point, he doesn't feel
It's
like an NPC.
Well, it felt cheap to me to say Tomas because it seems like, oh, he helped us the most, you know? But when it comes to, like, personality, he wasn't my favorite personality. He was a good guy, you know?
Yeah.
But
Absolutely. Okay. Now, to kind of end things off, do any of you have any questions about any characters or NPCs in the time between Campaign 1 and Campaign 2? What happens to them or their fate or anything like that?
I would be curious to speculate on the fate of my sons.
Okay. Absolutely.
Obviously, Ishmael gets married and then ends up with way too many kids. Because I decided that they have a litter of kittens. So they have 7 kids all at once. So he goes from, like, just not being a father to being a father of 7 very rowdy kittens.
jeez.
Yeah.
And then he becomes extremely tired. And he's probably still working for Edmund and stuff, doing stuff around Coltrast. I imagine that he kind of becomes like a military man. Because I think that makes sense for him.
Yeah, I
A little
kind
bit,
of
maybe a little bit more on the espionage kind of thing, since he was a thief kid and
I mean, you'd have to be a military man to keep 7 kids in line at once.
yeah.
Right.
But I feel like as a father, he's very soft. He's
Oh,
like-
definitely.
Because
After
he's
the way
trying
he
to
was
be
raised.
he's trying to be the opposite of Ichabod. So like
Mom's
if
the
he
one
ever
who has
gets
to hand out the punishments.
yeah, if he ever gets too stern, then like he feels bad. So he's just like really hands off, and
Pushover.
his kids are a bunch of like little menaces to society.
But yeah, Ishmael definitely marries Fire in the Sky, his Tabaxi friend, who's a sorcerer.
Yeah.
I kind of imagine, and it's kind of in my head that Ishmael becomes this Coltrast spy master.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, like
Spy master.
Yeah, he's he ends up being one of Edmund's top advisors, and like works behind the scenes, where he just appears to be nothing more than a bodyguard for Edmund, but in reality he's like the spy master. He runs the whole thing, like kind of like what's that guy from Dune's name? I just suddenly blanked on his name. Not Gurney.
No,
not Gurney. It's the Mentat dude.
That's Thufir, right?
Yeah, Thufir. Yeah, Thufir.
Yeah.
Performs the occasional assassination.
Yeah, basically.
Maybe.
I kind of imagine Ishmael doing exactly that.
He's just like his father, where Ichabod's like, I have to take care of the world's dirty work, you know? So he has to take care of Edmund's dirty work.
Yeah.
Fear Not, on the other hand, I think does not become a high level of anything. He probably becomes a priest, but just like one of those, like, he knows a couple of first level spells, maybe a second level spell, but he's just all around a good and wholesome guy who cares about his community. So he's trying to live the most normal life out of everybody, you know?
I kind of imagined the exact same thing for him, oddly enough. My thoughts is that as the years go by, he eventually just becomes one of the priests that works in the Temple to Balrus in Coltrast.
Yeah, because he's been going to school, so I imagine when he gets a little older, he turns his studies more theological, and then enters the priesthood. And he's always been a soft-hearted boy. so yeah, he lives a nice, wholesome life.
Yeah, just lives a nice, wholesome life, maintaining the church in Coltrast, but doesn't really do much more beyond that. And that's okay for him.
And I feel like it's perfect, because that's why Ichabod put all the burden on Ishmael, where he's like, oh, you have to take over the same stuff that I do, so that people like your brother, who's a little softer, can live normal, happy lives and not have to deal with this kind of stuff. So now Ishmael shoulders the burden, and Fear Not is just like living his life.
Yeah, absolutely. Edmund eventually becomes King Edmund, and before, like, campaign 2, I don't mind telling everybody, is going to be happening. It takes place 40 years after campaign 1. So these characters at this point will still be alive and still floating around, and we might encounter them. You never know. But in Coltrast itself, the city of Coltrast becomes the capital, Coltrast, and the nation around it also takes on the eventual name, Coltrast. Edmund is its first king, and I honestly think that with all y'all's guidance and support, he becomes a rather just and noble king in his own right. Between he better.
Yeah. I don't know. He was making deals with the Thieves Guild for a while, so.
You know, I'm just saying he has a dream route right next to him. Like I can come there anytime.
Wow.
Put him in his place.
Yeah. So the grotto underneath Coltrast does still exist, and that petrified route is very much alive at that point. So. There is still a connection to the dream root within Coltrast, no doubt about that. And so Blaznir could pop in every so often just to see how things are going.
I like to think that I managed to save one of the members of the Conclave from madness. Because when we were doing like the research on the machine and stuff, you know, we specifically mentioned that there was, after I kind of got a really high check and sort of schooled them about what it actually was, there was that one guy that we said was like the guy from Good Will Hunting, where he's like, I wish I never met you. And he would spend like much of his life just trying to like do something to prove that he was like my equal, and then I wouldn't have even like remembered. So he would show up to like, you know, make some great pronouncement to me or something, and I'd be like, "Who are you?" And then he'd go through the whole thing, and then I'd finally just be like, "Oh, well, I can teach you some stuff if you want."
I actually have a question. Do the people that, if there's any survivors, do the people who are mind controlled by the cult, you know, not be mind controlled anymore?
There are some that do break free of that compulsion. It takes time. Not every member of the cult was in the army, and there are some out there within the world that were under the mind control, and over the course of months, they eventually do regain their minds. And there's a lot of oddness that kind of comes along with that, because people suddenly finding themselves in positions they had no memory of being in, or no idea of how they got there. And some of them are driven to madness, others find ways to return to their life. Therapists in Loroupa are in kind of high demand over the next 10, 20 years, just from everything that happened with the breaking of the world.
Yeah. Did all those evil nuns get taken out?
They did, or at least
Sweet.
they're never seen again. However, about a year after everything went down, a traveler shows up with a small entourage that turns out to be Edmund's grandmother,
Wow.
who was still alive and was captured by the cult. Her name was among the names that the Fab Five had discovered in Laverin, and the Conclave was actually out there looking for her. Your group probably saw her name on the list, but might not have associated the 2 and 2. It was basically just a thing that if you happened to see it, you could have went and found her yourselves. Yeah. If you went, it was a possible adventure that nobody really picked up on, but she is one of the ones that does survive. And basically, a year later, she returns to Coltrast and tells the story of how she had been traveling to North Amia and was actually kidnapped in North Amia and taken to the cult, and was corrupted by the Dream Witness.
All right,
Do they all remember what they did when they were mind controlled?
No, they actually don't.
That might be a
Here's
blessing.
for
then.
you. What was your favorite thing that we did, and what was the thing that we did in the campaign that annoyed you the most?
Oh, let's see.
35 passive perception.
That was interesting, because I had to just start in the back of my mind remembering that if something's going on in the background, Blaznir probably knows about it. So that was interesting. Oh God, I have a lot of favorite moments from this campaign.
Well, just give us some of them. Some of the stuff that we did that really made you happy.
I think one of my favorite moments was when you all snuck into Portleone's mansion and found his wife there, and then immediately captured her and started to interrogate her. And she tries to get away and turns invisible, and you manage to I think you sentineled her.
Always, baby.
Yeah, which stopped her from getting out, and so it ended up I made her scream out, which is what alerted Portleone.
Yeah.
If you had managed to keep her quiet, you would have ended up finding him in that back altar room, praying to the Dreamer. And so you would have found zombie Shadowfire first in that room, because Shadowfire was in that same room, just standing guard and staying out of the way. So you could have very easily snuck into there and saw Shadowfire, which would have made a very very interesting scene, but I actually like the way how it played out, where she screamed and he comes charging out, and then Shadowfire steps out from behind.
Yeah.
It ended up being a much more I like the way the scene turned out a lot better.
Yeah.
Let's see. God, there's a ton of them. I think, I think that another one of my favorite times was it was shortly after you all had got together and you were fighting that frog Hemoth.
Mm-hmm.
And then Willow, or I can't remember who it was that, was it Willow that got swallowed?
I think so.
I feel like it was.
Right.
I feel like it was Willow who got swallowed, and then in the end, when you finally defeated the thing, just tiny little Willow pushing the mouth open to climb out again. I love that moment.
Oh, I don't know if we ever touched upon this. How did Shadowfire die? I don't remember how that happened.
Port Leone killed.
Oh yeah. Port Leone ended up finding him. Is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So when Shadowfire left, John wanted it was a time when John thought that he had to leave for his job, and so he just wanted to give Shadowfire a good send-off of him running off and disappearing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then it ended up working out that he could stay longer, and so that he decided he wanted to play Willow. But he was like, I don't care what you do with Shadowfire, I just want him to be dead.
Yeah.
So my decision was that Port Leone was tracking you all, but he was pretty far behind, and he kept getting contacted by Veritude and told to stop and do other things, but. So you all got to North Amia and went and you had just finished up at Dusk Hollow and you're on your way to North Amia, and so you went through the woods to make a quick to make your journey go by faster.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when John was like, yeah, let's kill off Shadowfire. So basically, what we decided was Shadowfire got a message from his god that that Port Leone was closing in. And so Shadowfire decided to sacrifice himself and distract Port Leone while the rest of you continued on to North Amia. During that time that Shadowfire was leading Port Leone and his knights away, because it was all 5 of the knights at that point. They had all come together to track you down, and so Shadowfire drew them away, but died in the process. And so Port Leone had Shadowfire's body there, and he's like, well, these assholes are going to show up again at some point, so I'm going to hold on to this corpse and use that against them.
Yeah. Oh, we never knew what Shadowfire did for us.
Mm-hmm.
The ultimate price.
The ultimate sacrifice to save y'all. You have any other questions about the campaign that you'd like to know now that it's over?
Man, I don't know. Trying to think. Look at my notes.
Does Kyan achieve near immortality with me? Does
well,
he
I imagine
forever?
Yeah, I mean he's just a face spirit. So as long as you exist and you're summoning him, he exists as well.
Does he? Can he eventually, gain his own corporeal form? I mean, after how many years of being an archdruid?
I don't see why not. It'd probably take a long time for you to get to that point to do it, but in the end, yeah, I'd say so.
All right.
One thing that you would know as a druid living among the Dreaming Tree, Blaznir, is that with the Dreaming Tree now sprouted and returned to Loroupa, Loroupa is no longer closed off from the rest of the multiverse like it was. The planet Loroupa is it's in its own separate pocket of normal space out among the chaotic ether of the universe. And so the Dreaming Tree originally was the only reason why people were able to get to Loroupa. That was actually how the first settlers came to Loroupa, was through the Dreaming Tree. Once the Dreaming Tree was destroyed way back in time, no longer was the planet connected to the multiverse. So that's why a lot of the species that exist in D&D didn't exist on Loroupa at this time. But now that the tree exists, the pathway to the multiverse is open as well. That's why Arcades, the Cerulean Sentinel, the dragon that was the Zaim, that's why he left. The moment the Dreaming Tree existed, the multiverse was open. He was from another realm, and he actually got trapped on Loroupa during the calamity that destroyed the Dreaming Tree, and he was stuck on Loroupa for 10,000 years more, actually. It's more like 15,000 years. And that's why he had he established his own base of operation, Rowena. He made himself the Zaim, and just basically every century or so said, oh, now the son of the Zaim is the new Zaim, but it was him the entire time.
Yeah.
You had to say that exact figure, didn't you, Matt?
Why?
After 10,000 years, I'm free! It's time to conquer Earth!
Well, after 15,000 years, yeah, he is free, and the reason he was seen flying away is because he could finally get off the planet.
He doesn't want to hang out with us anymore.
Nope, he has his own
Why doesn't
things
he
to
like
do.
us? We were like really nice to him.
Yeah.
Recruit a team of teenagers with attitude.
But yeah, that's why he took off.
Still feel like he's a coward.
He would have decimated your group.
Sure.
You say that now.
Look, you can believe whatever you need to believe that makes you happy.
I mean, hey, you want to take on a dragon god? I'm all for it. Anyway, do you have any other things you want to ask about?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I feel like... Yeah, I can't... For some reason, my computer won't let me open my notes, but yeah, there's nothing that really sticks out to me.
I'm just excited for the next campaign.
Me too. Excited for Session 0.
Yep. Well, then let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit, because while the story of the Debauchery Circus has ended, that doesn't mean the story of these players are going to. Unfortunately, Matthew, in a couple days, is actually heading off to college, so Matthew will not be with us for Campaign 2, but the rest of our cast will be.
Although I was hoping maybe if I get time, maybe I can jump in if you guys would allow it.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Anytime you're able to, we'll have you come back as a guest star, and also for one-shots in the future, you still can jump in those at any time.
I have a sort of idea of a character I would want to play if I ever got to in Pathfinder, because I've been looking at Pathfinder for a little bit now. So
and spoilers for those of you watching,
right.
Campaign 2 is going to be Pathfinder.
Second edition, to be clear, because there are 2 of them.
For some reason.
But yeah, tell what's the character you're thinking about?
I was thinking of, I found a race called Leshy, kind of this plant-like race.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's going to be a sorcerer, And I was thinking that maybe, since it's probably going to be a while for me to play, Blaznir could have created him and sent him off into the world. And then, because they're created by druids, so...
Interesting.
Yeah, and he's going to be a sorcerer if no one else is playing a sorcerer.
Not currently.
Yeah. The class is changeable, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, obviously. Yeah, but I like the idea of a progeny of Blaznir coming back every so often as a guest star. That'd be cool.
Yeah, because I saw, the race of, just plant folk created by druids, and I was like, I think Blaznir would have some of those around.
Yeah. Oh, Blaznir.
Brie, tell us about the character you're wanting to play for Campaign 2.
I'm playing Ishmael's youngest son, Makai, little runt of the litter. Sorry for my doggy barking in the background. I think my boyfriend's just getting home. But if you want to do somebody else, she'll calm down in a minute.
Okay, that's fine. How about you, Steven?
So I'm going to be playing a character called Silver Sheen. And he is going to be a race that is, or an ancestry that is in Pathfinder that D&D doesn't really have, called the Poppet. And basically they start out as like simple constructs that somebody had created to do basic tasks or like help around the house or whatever. And then they sort of just magically velveteen rabbit and come to life. And so I'm going to be playing what is essentially a construct that looks like a raccoon who has part of the soul of a child that brought him to life because he was the child's companion because the kid had a terminal illness. And he is an artist who is friends with metal, I guess you could say, as far as his class abilities. And he wants to create some kind of great statue that will live beyond him because poppets don't necessarily live very long.
I like it. Brandie, I don't think you've decided on a character yet, have you?
Not yet. I mean, I have some ideas floating around, but I haven't found the one that spoke to me quite yet.
That's okay.
Still undecided.
Well, we got a little bit of time between now and then. Did your dog stop barking?
Yes,
Brie?
she has gotten over it. So Makai Sykes is going to be, I don't know what kind of cat you had decided that she was, but I imagine that they're all Himalayan cats. So,
Sure.
because I like the idea of all of his brothers and sisters being like really huge. Because like Ichabod's really tall and Ishmael's really tall, and the Himalayan cats will be really tall, but he was like runt of the litter, so he's like 5'8", and that's really tiny compared to everybody else in his family. But Makai is like the next generation of fighter, so he's gonna be a gunslinger, and he'll have kind of some similarities to Ichabod in like the being ambidextrous and being kind of flashy, even though Ichabod would say that he wasn't. But then he's also kind of the opposite of Ichabod, where Ichabod does not embrace the debauchery, and that's all Makai cares about. It's just being absolute bad boy, very debaucherous, and his goal is to become super famous, greatest star this world's ever seen.
So what you're saying is Grandpa Corrin influenced him a little bit?
Maybe.
Yeah, except I think even Corrin would be surprised of the levels that Makai had 6 brothers and sisters. He did not get enough attention as a child, and he's making everybody pay for it.
I'd
So you're gonna see me.
still be around too to have
That's true.
mentored him some.
That's
definitely.
true. And he definitely has Ishmael's criminal streak. So, if whatever you do, your kids are going to be way worse. So,
This is true.
So yeah, he's going to be my bad boy, cowboy.
Love it. And that's also during the 40 years between Campaign 1 and Campaign 2. Falderal Fucklerall ends up coming to Coltrast and setting up shop there as an artificer, and that's where Malachi learns gunslinging and how to build and repair them by studying under Falderal.
Yep, and he's very reckless about it.
Which I'm sure he gets from Falderal, because Falderal's insane. Okay, love it.
A thrill seeker, what can I say?
But yeah, Campaign 2, like we said, is going to be Pathfinder 2nd Edition. It takes place 40 years after Campaign 1, and there's a lot of changes to the world during that time. And one of them is actually directly responsible or your group is directly responsible for some of this, because you decided that you wanted the Darwin Empire to be split in half instead of the area around Coltrast. So part of what's going on in the world, it has to do with that empire and the consequences of its landmass being split in half.
Oh yeah.
So that should be interesting to see where we go from there.
Sorry,
but yeah, it happens. But yeah, Loroupa may be changed, but there's tons and tons of adventure to be had within it, and we're going to be continuing on with that adventure in Campaign 2 with Brie and Steven and Brandie, and we'll be bringing on a couple new cast members as well, so it should be a lot of fun. We got Tensei in Republic saying hi. Howdy, Tensei.
Hello.
Anyway, unless anybody has anything else they want to ask me, I think this is a good place to sign off.
Thanks for the campaign, Matt.
Yeah,
thanks
absolutely.
For running it.
Yeah, thanks for the great 3 years. It's been a lot of fun playing with y'all.
Long time.
Yeah, well, it's going to just keep going, so.
Yep.
Well, for the very last time with the Debauchery Circus, I just want to say thank you to everyone who watched today. We very much appreciate you tuning in and hanging out with us. Come back, join us again in a couple months for Campaign 2, where we meet a brand new group of adventurers setting off in our wide world of Loroupa. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I think we're going to have a blast with it. But once again, on behalf of everyone here in the Debauchery Circus and everyone in the Random Rhapsody crew, I just want to say thank you, folks. It's been a delight. So long. Good luck. And until Campaign 2, stay debaucherous and have a great time. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.